Our last presenter of the day began her career as an event planner at UCLA, where she received her bachelor's degree and then moved on to do the same at Stanford University for nearly 20 years. Thereafter, she left the corporate setting and started her own business, turnkey style. Alyssa Ellis is a wardrobe stylist, online course creator, and a best-selling author, and has been deemed a keynote speaker. We all know the saying, couldn't get to Texas fast enough. Well, Alyssa is now in Texas, and she's here to give us guidance on how to always present well in a professional manner. Please welcome Alyssa Ellis.
Now can you hear me? Oh, okay, that's better. Okay, and I can see. That's a good thing. Okay, so for those of you, I was a former corporate gal. I became an entrepreneur, but the other thing I think is really important is I've been everything from a size 10 to an 18 and back again, and now I'm somewhere in between. And the reason I share that is because one of the biggest struggle for women and some men is that we change sizes over the course of time, right? And yeah, exactly, especially post-COVID, right? I have so many clients. I was just telling Terry, they're going to graduations and they have nothing that fits because they gained the COVID 20 or 15 or 10 or whatever that is. So I know what it's like to go shopping and nothing fits. I know what it's like to have 3, 4, 5 sizes in your closet because you're waiting until you lose weight to get back into it. And when I work with clients, I help them let go of what's not working for them. That's a big part of it, right? We all have clothes in our closet that we're not wearing, that we used to wear, that worked for us, now don't work for us. I help them transform how they feel about clothes because we all have in our head, I can't wear that because I won't look good on me. Or, like even my husband, he has certain things that he doesn't wear because he doesn't feel they're going to work for him. And then I help them create a wardrobe that they love because ultimately that's what you want. You want to be able to get up and get dressed quickly. Now, over the years, I've worked with men and women, everything from 0 to 22 plus. In the last month, I worked with a gal who was a size 6, she used to be a size 4, and a gal who was a size 22 plus. And the reality is that no matter what size you are, the 6 wants to be the 4 wants to be the 2, the 22 wants to be the 18. With men, it's the same thing. If he's a 40, he wants to be a 36. It doesn't matter. And we all have some part of our body that we are trying to hide, whether it's our breast, our tush, our arms. We think that when we walk into a room, everybody is looking at that body part. And really, they're not. They're looking at your face. They're looking at your smile. Think about the last time you saw some of your good friends. When they walked into the room, did you say, oh, her butt got bigger? Or, boy, her arms are really flabby. Like, no, that's not what we look at. When we go places, I know you're laughing because it's true, but we think that's what we think when we walk into a room. But they're not. They're really not. So I really believe that how you show up matters. And some of you might agree with me. Some of you might not. But I really, truly believe. And so that's part of my talk is about showing up professionally, whether it's to your depositions, arbitrations, in court, whatever it is, the minute you walk out the door, okay, it really matters how you show up. This was when I was getting a certification, this really struck with me, this quote, because I work all the time with stay-at-home moms, all the way to entrepreneurs, C-suite execs that make anywhere between 6 and 7 figures. And time again, when we start, I hear, oh, I'm just wearing leggings and t-shirts, or I don't really go anywhere. I don't have to get dressed up every day. But the reality is that how you show up for yourself directly affects how you feel, how you interact with people, and how people interact with you. So this was a study that was done in 2014 at Yale, and they took 2 different groups of people. They put them in sweats and they put them in suits. And then there was a middle group that they dressed in casual wear. And what they found, the group that dressed in suits did almost twice as much in mock negotiations. Now, I know it's not just about sales, but the reality is what they found is that the group that was dressed in suits actually made more decisions like a CEO. They were more likely to take risks. They were more likely to speak up. They were more likely to think big picture. And the group that was dressed in sweats was more likely to defer, to not answer, to not take risks, to defer to those that were in suits. They were more likely to look at the minutia detail and get stuck. And so it's a great example of how we dress directs how we interact with people, how we think, and how we make decisions. So I know that some of us are still wearing potentially pajamas on the bottom half when we get up in the morning or when we're on Zoom calls. But I just wanted to point this out because it's a great example of how it has a direct effect on how you feel and work and take actions throughout the day. Now, first impressions matter, and not everybody agrees with me, but let's just go with it. 55% of first impressions are visual, right? Like some people, it doesn't matter what I say or what facts I use, they're just going to think what they want to think. The other thing is, it used to be that a decision was made, an opinion was made in the first 15 seconds they said. Now, because of this fast-paced world that we're living in, it's down to 5 seconds or somewhere in between there. So within that split second, someone is making a decision about you and however they want to think about you based on their visual cues. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story, just kind of an example of all of what I just talked about in these studies. This is my son. About 3 or 4 months ago, he went out to look for a job. He went out in khakis and a dress shirt. He went to about 20 different places, and he came back and he didn't really get much traction. He was completely frustrated. So that night he went out and he bought himself a suit, and he went back to all those same places the next day. He got 4 interviews, and he called me and he said, "Mom, I'm going to wear a suit for the rest of my life." And you have to realize, I've been a stylist for a while now, but my kids, when they were growing up, I had this rule. They had to wear clothes when they went out. They weren't allowed to wear sweats or workout wear. Okay. If you're going to wear workout wear, you're going to work out. And they used to fight me tooth and nail. And so when they went off to college, they wore sweats, they wore workout wear. So this was his first real encounter with real world. He dressed up in a suit. He's like, "Mom, people were so nice to me. They opened doors for me. They offered to get me coffee. They asked me if I needed anything." He actually went to a Lamborghini dealership, spoke with the manager for 30 minutes before the manager even asked to see his resume and realized he had no sales experience for cars. But he told him, he said, "I like your style. I like how you showed up. Come back in a year when you have some experience." Now, he is happily employed, selling insurance, couldn't be happier, but he's still wearing a suit every day. And he literally feels better about himself because he's showing up for himself. And it's just a really easy way to show how people reacted to him and how he reacted to people. Now, in person and Zoom, this is, I work with a lot of people at different levels. And one of the biggest aha that I had recently was a woman who was working with 6-figure clients. And I want to say Marie Kondo'd her closet, right? She tried to fold and package and put away everything and organize it. But what happened was she was putting her shirts in these little cubbies. So every day when she'd go to pull out a shirt, it was all wrinkled. And that's how she would show up on her Zoom calls for trainings. And what happened was she felt schleppy. She didn't feel good about herself. And so that's how she was presenting to her clients. And she potentially lost 2 clients. Okay. So showing up on Zoom is just as important as it is showing up in person. I know there used to kind of be these lines of what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable. And post-COVID, that really kind of changed. And all these lines kind of became blurred. And people are like, well, is this okay? Is this not okay? And we're not really sure where we stand. But the reality is that you want to show up more professionally than not, because there's a lot of different things when you're working in Zoom, especially like lighting. When you are dressed up, you're more likely to carry yourself in a more professional manner. Okay. Now, some people are still asking, well, is it okay if I wear the PJs on the bottom, my Lululemons, my leggings, my sweats? Sure, you could. But after all the information that I just gave you, it's clear that when we show up wearing pajamas, leggings, not really showing up for ourselves, we're not necessarily giving our best to our clients, right? And so this is a big piece of showing up for yourself, is making sure you're getting up and getting dressed. I was recently listening to this audiobook it's Girl Boss. It's about a woman who started a vintage clothing store and it used on eBay, and it grew into this multi-billion-dollar business. And it's all about clothes and how what we put on is a truly transformational process. I have worked with clients over and over, and typically we start and they're like, yeah, it really doesn't matter what I wear. It's not that important. I have a financial advisor who has a thriving business. Monday through Friday, she'd wear suits. She'd go home on the weekend. She'd wear sweats, a ball cap, and she'd hide because she felt she didn't want to have to deal with her clients or meeting new people, and she felt schleppy. But we made a few small tweaks and she started wearing jeans. She kept the ball cap on because she didn't want to have to do her hair, and a t-shirt, maybe a blazer or a cardigan, and her business grew. But the part of that is because she felt better about herself, because she was showing up better. It made a huge difference in how she was interacting with people around her. And what happens is you feel more confident because you are dressing better. You feel better about yourself. You're more likely to take risks and reach out to people. Now, we're 2 years into the pandemic. And so for most of you, you probably have all of this down, right? Background, lighting, position of the computer. I don't know about you, but I still see people coming on in that quiz. They said someone's coming from their car. I still have people on Zoom and I'm looking up their nose because their computer camera is not positioned properly. I have meetings where people come on and I'm looking at their cleavage. Okay, that's not why I'm going to a business meeting. I do a lot of networking and that is the last thing I want to see. I have seen people come and they don't have proper lighting. It's really simple, finding a small ring light that you can clip to the top of your computer. You can set on your desk. I have actually a big one that I stand in the corner of my office and I just turn it on when I have a meeting. But when you look like you're coming to me from the depths of the ocean, it's really hard for me to focus. And I know you're laughing because you've seen it. I mean, I've been in meetings where people are sitting on their bed and they have clothes in the background. Okay, that's not a professional environment. And so even though you may not have an office, you really want to think about where you're sitting, what's behind you, what's your background. I have some people that come and they have bookcases behind them, which is great. But more often than not, people are sitting there going, okay, what books is she reading? Like, what is, what's this on the corner? And so that's a distraction, right? You want to try and remove all of those distractions if you can. And when you show up professionally, it's when you walk out the door and when you go to a meeting professionally. Now, I just worked with a client this morning virtually, and she's like, okay, what if I'm just going to the grocery store? There's a difference between how you feel if you're running out of the house in sweats and if you're running out of the house in a pair of jeans, a top, a cute jacket, right? Something stylish. Even for my husband, we went to the grocery store this weekend. I threw on a skirt, a top, a pair of sandals, and he's like, you're making me look bad, because he was wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. I said, look, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is what I feel comfortable in. If you want to change, you go ahead. But even he could see the distinct difference in how he was dressing versus how I was dressing. So you want to find what makes you feel authentic. I say this because it's different for everybody, right? I worked with a client this morning that doesn't wear dresses and she doesn't wear skirts. I have male clients that prefer slacks and polo shirts. They don't want to wear a dress shirt. I have some clients that only wear slacks. They, only want to wear jeans. Everybody is a little different. And it's whatever you feel confident in. I'm going to say maybe not the sweats and maybe not the leggings, but it depends on the environment and it depends on you. What do you feel authentic in? I had a stylist tell me once, if I was a speaker on stage, I needed to wear high heels, nylons, and a sheath dress. Well, there's no way in hell, excuse my French, that I'm ever wearing nylons again. That's just me, okay? Everybody's a little different. And I'm much more comfortable in this than I am, or a pair of slacks, than I would be in a sheath dress. So you have to find what makes you feel authentic and confident. And for men, it's the same. I had a client who was going through a divorce and he liked to wear turtlenecks and a sport coat and a pair of jeans. And I used to tease him because I said, you do realize, because at the time I lived in California, it's sunny California and it's like 80 degrees almost year round. And he's wearing a turtleneck and a sport coat, but that's what he felt comfortable in. That's how he wanted to show up to his business. So he had to do him. Now, these are some image makers and image breakers, and there's a list on each side, and we're going to go over it a little bit more in detail. So appropriate for the occasion, projecting confidence, projecting confidence and competency, whereas image breakers are inappropriate for the occasion, too much skin and too casual. So I put skin in here because it's a really big deal when I talk to a lot of different professions, whether it's realtors, lawyers, financial advisors, and it's more so for women than it is for men. And I know that's sexist, but here's the reality. Like, I'll give you an example. I was in a coffee shop the other day talking to a realtor, and a woman walked in and her skirt was halfway up her thigh and her top was very plunging. And the whole time she was in line for coffee, she was futzing and pulling. And the reality is, okay, great. If you feel confident in that, that's great. But then all of this is a distraction and no one's paying attention to what you're actually saying. They're looking at the cleavage, they're looking at the short skirt, they're looking at you feeling uncomfortable and constantly futzing. So if that's what's happening when you show up to work and you're wearing things that are too revealing or uncomfortable or don't fit properly, then instead of your professionalism coming across, it's that, lack of confidence, lack of competency. Too casual. I always say go on the other end. You want to veer on dressing up more than dressing too casually, especially now, because we've kind of gone from one end. When my husband started his job, he was wearing full suit and tie. Okay. And when I was going to work, I was wearing a suit. Now, even in the banking industry, I can walk into the bank and they might be wearing jeans and a polo shirt, which is unheard of 10 years ago. Right. And so you just want to try and go to the more professional side rather than the too casual side. This is another example. Inc. magazine wrote a story about a study they did in Princeton in 2019, and they wrote about it in Business Insider, Forbes, Inc. And what they found was they put a whole bunch of subjects in all different clothes, and then they had a group rate them. And what they found was the people who were wearing richer looking clothes were deemed more confident. And they thought, oh, that can't be right. They were truly aghast. So they did it again. They did the study again, and they offered an incentive. And what they found was the same thing. The people who were wearing poorer looking clothes were deemed incompetent. Now, that just goes back to when I talked about in the beginning, first impressions matter, right? We all work really hard, and it would be a shame if people thought less of us simply because we weren't wearing the right types of clothes or we weren't showing up properly. But that's the reality of it, right? Perfect example was my son. He was competent. He was no more competent the second day than he was the first day, right? He was just dressed differently. And so he was perceived differently. So image makers, focal point, one focal point too many. I actually saw, so here's a perfect example. When I wear, a lot of women wear jewelry, men wear ties, different. When I wear jewelry, it's always right here. And this is my focal point. You walk into a room, people are going to see my pearls or maybe my earrings. I saw a woman on Facebook Live. She was actually a stylist. She had big hunking earrings, which is fine, a huge necklace. And then she had this print top going on. So what happened was I didn't know where to look. I couldn't even focus on what she was saying because she had so much going on. And it's kind of this rule that I heard when I was little. If you're going to wear a big statement necklace, you wear little earrings. If you're going to wear big earrings, then you wear a simple necklace. Same thing for men. If you're wearing a very busy shirt, then you're going to wear a simple tie, right? If you have a pinstripe in your jacket, then maybe you want to wear a simpler shirt. You want to give people one focal point to look at. Otherwise, it's too much. They just don't know how to process it. Simple things like well cared for, well fitted, tailored. I see this more, poor care, wrinkled, poor fit. I see this a lot with women simply because, and men actually, as we get older, we gain weight. And then what happens is we tend to buy clothes that are too big. We want to hide, right? So we start buying clothes that are bigger and bigger because we want to hide all those spots that make us uncomfortable. And then what happens is we end up looking disheveled because our clothes don't fit us properly. I have worked with clients who were wearing size medium and were actually extra petite small. I have worked with clients who were extra large, wearing extra large, and they were actually mediums. I had one male client who said he felt like Jabba the Hutt. And it's because he was wearing things that were shirts that were really long for him and they were oversized and too big. So you really want to take care to see if what you're wearing is the proper size for you, because it could be making you look less professional simply because it's not properly fitting you. Now, there could be the other extreme, too tight. I went to a networking event and I sat down and there was a realtor there and she had a button up top and it was literally splitting open. The zipper on her pants had literally popped open and her jacket was too small. And it was really a shame because this was a woman who had a niche market. She worked with helping elderly move from their homes, sell them, and moving into a care facility, right? That's a specialty, that's a niche, but I would never recommend her to anybody because it was unprofessional for her to show up looking that way. What if she had shown up to a client meeting like that? Okay, and simply, I heard earlier, I was here earlier and they were talking about how there were Facebook groups where people post things about court reporters or lawyers and whatnot. And there are people who are talking about how people are showing up on camera. There are people who are talking about how people are showing up in court. And it could make the difference between whether or not you get called or not called. it happens in every realm of business. I've heard it about lawyers. I had a lawyer, a high level networking event called Provisors in California. They pay thousands of dollars to be in this networking event. And there was a lawyer that showed up and they always had dandruff on their jackets and their hair was always kind of sticking up in the back. And it's just a matter of self-care, right? It's about taking 10 extra minutes to make sure that you're pulled together before you walk out the door, whether you're a man or a woman. So those are just little things that you have to take care of. And sometimes when we're busy and we're running out the door, we don't have time to do that. So a lot of people say, well, just use your common sense, but common sense, it's different for everybody, right? My common sense is completely different from my kid's common sense. My experience is completely different from his. So you kind of have to, again, veer on the side of being more professional and looking more put together rather than relying on that so that you show up looking professional and respectful. So women and some men typically have 3 excuses. We're not really sure how, we don't really have a lot of time, and we don't have the money. So we're going to talk about how. I really believe that when you have a capsule wardrobe, it makes all the difference in the world. It makes it quick and easy for you to get out the door in 5. If you have basics, the right color scheme, if you decide if you want one for work, for casual, or both. So what does that look like? So 5 basics are a button down top or just a plain top of some sort, a blazer or cardigan, some type of layering piece. You don't have to wear a suit all the time. I have some people that have sweater jackets, some people that have long cardigans. It's whatever that layering piece is for you. A blouse, I love prints. I love a small print because it allows me to mix and match with what other things that are in my closet. And then pick a bottom. It could be skirt, pair of slacks. For men, it's the top is a sport coat, and then a little black dress or a suit. A lot of my clients right now, instead of the traditional suit, they're choosing to have a more casual type of dress that they can dress up with a blazer or some type of jacket and some jewelry, because we may or may not be going to fancier events anymore. And you don't want to have that one suit that sits in your closet that you never wear except for when you go to a funeral. Okay, so you want to have something else that's maybe more basic that you can dress up. If you start with 9 pieces, 3 tops, 3 bottoms, and 3 layering pieces, most of us already have these in our closet. It's just a matter of whether or not they go together or if you're comfortable in them. I helped a woman clean out her closet this morning. She's a size 20, but she actually had 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 in her closet. Okay. So we had to have a conversation about getting rid of maybe the 8s and the 10s. So if you're on a weight loss journey, great, but let's be realistic and what you're going to wear. So once you have those 9 pieces, you add jewelry, accessories, shoes. For men, it's about having sport coats. Honestly, they have a little bit easier. They have sport coats and ties and shirts, and you switch those out and it makes it really easy, right? So this 10-piece capsule collection, you can make 53 different outfits. I put in the pair of jeans for the client because they wanted a more casual look for themselves. And with the layering pieces, it allows you to mix and match, and it changes the focal point. I had a client who was wearing all black and she didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on new clothes. So we bought some new necklaces. People were suddenly raving about how great she looked. And all she changed were her necklaces and earrings, but she changed the focal point of the outfit. Okay. For this, it's the same for men. If they have a dress shirt and they suddenly have some fancy new ties, it's like, oh, you're looking pretty good because the focal point has changed. I saw this ad. When I shop for clients, I do anything from Target, Kohl's, QVC, all the way to Neiman's. This was an ad for Lafleur, which is a higher end women's clothing line. And they showed an ad where it was 10 pieces and you could make 10 outfits. And I said, yeah, no, I can make 30. So it's really 2 tops, 2 bottoms, and 4 layering pieces along with the dress. And you can see really simply, there's a blouse, a tee, a dress, the slacks, and because you have all the layering pieces, it creates completely new outfits. Just with those 10 pieces, you could have 30 outfits. Now, maybe you're not a dress person, so you swap that out for something else. Maybe you're not a slacks person, maybe you want a skirt. But when you have those basics in your closet, it makes it really easy for you to mix and match and change what you're wearing every day. Pick a color scheme, whether you want navy, white, camel. I know a lot of women like black, but black isn't always the best color for everybody. Especially if you're very fair skinned, it can bring out the dark circles underneath your eyes. I worked with a woman this morning. She was very fair skinned. She had kind of reddish strawberry blonde hair. She looked great in teal, in pink, and she wore black 5 days a week. So find colors that work for you. Look at the colors that are in your eyes. If you have a little bit of blue or green or brown, find colors that go with that. It's going to make your eyes and your skin pop. Now, lack of time is the next excuse, right? You want to be able to get out the door in 5. You don't want to have to think. And here's the other game changer. We want fabrics we love. COVID hit, and now women, we don't want to wear high heel shoes necessarily anymore. We don't want to wear things that are too tight. We don't want to wear things that are uncomfortable. We want to wear things that are breathable. We want to be comfortable. So find fabrics that work for you. This is 3 suits. All I did was put in 3 different tops, and then you have 36 different outfits. Now, maybe you don't want to wear a suit anymore. Maybe you just want to wear a jacket. Maybe you want a sweater cardigan. Maybe you want a different type of layering piece, a canvas. But by just switching out the tops, you could create new endless outfits. Maybe you don't want to wear constricting suits, like I said, breathable fabric. So there's a brand called Beta Brand, which is really popular with some of my clients. They feel like yoga pants, but they look like professional pants because they have a button and they have pockets and they come in all different lengths. Not Your Daughter jeans also carry some now. They are great because they have short, petite, tall, plus size, and they come in a variety of different fabrics, a variety of different colors. And it makes it really easy, especially if you're traveling, if you want Conti knit. Conti knit is a great fabric that you can find now in jackets. And it makes it really easy when you want to swap things out. Now, mixing and matching makes it really easy for you to change the look of an outfit and focal points. So I have clients that weren't used to wearing any type of print. So we start with a small print. And then if you wear a sweater jacket or a cardigan, what happens is it cuts down on the print, right? So what you're looking at is just the small print here, and the jacket or the blazer or the sweater, whatever that is, cuts through it. You can change the look with a pair of earrings, with a piece of jewelry. You want to think about proportion. So a lot of my clients, like I said, they wear things that are too big, men and women. What happens is, especially if you have longer shirts. So if you're 5'4" and under, you may be petite. And I know a lot of women growing up thought petite meant you were 0, 2, 4. But petite is really someone who is 5'4" and under, and they have shorter arms or potentially shorter legs or a shorter torso. And so if you're 5'4" and under and you're shopping in a store and your shirt is way down here, you have no proportion. Then you become this big box. So I encourage my clients to tuck in their shirt, to do a front tuck, to do a side tuck, because what you want is, this is my 1/3 and this is my 2/3. And the same is for men, right? The client that I had that was a Jabba the Hutt, it's because his shirts were going way past his crotch. So he had no body shape whatsoever. The minute he tucked in his shirt, he was like, oh, I'm pretty good. I look good. But because his clothes were so oversized and big, he lost all sense of proportion in his body. And this works no matter what size you are. I just worked with a client who was a 22, and she got some shirts that were mid-rise, okay? It covered her tummy. She was comfortable, but it wasn't going below her crotch. So suddenly you could see where her waist is, and she felt like she had lost 10 pounds because she wasn't hiding behind oversized clothes anymore. This makes a huge difference, is proportion. This is just another example of how you can take those gray Beta Brand pants and match it with the white top, and then different jackets, sweaters. This is another capsule collection that I put together for a client for the spring. It included a jean jacket, a blazer, this actual blazer. So you don't always have to spend a lot of money, and I'll talk about that, but you want to invest in pieces that you know that you're going to have over time, right? And reuse them. She wanted pieces she could wear to work. So she used the slacks and then the blue floral top and the blazer. And then she wanted things that she could wear casually. And that was the jeans and the tank top, and mixing and matching with the cardigan, white button down that she used like a jacket. So these are just some guidelines depending on your shape. There's a lot of different shapes, but the 5 major ones are apple, pear, rectangle shape, and inverted triangle, and hourglass. There are different things that you can try to do to make the most of your body shape. An apple, it's always great to find a wrap top. If you're a pear, which means your hips are wider than your shoulders, having a boat neck top is great because it evens out your shoulders, it balances out your body. A rectangle is someone who has an athletic fit. You might have a rectangle shape, so you want to show off your waist. Most of these, it's just about finding proportion. Hourglass shape, having flare pair of pants, or an inverted triangle. I just worked with a swimmer. She has very broad shoulders. And some men are this way too. You want to find things that are going to balance out your bottom half. So she was younger and she was totally comfortable wearing almost bell-bottom type pants, baggy pants, because the bagginess on the bottom is going to balance out her top. Now, the last excuse is lack of money. So how do you look professional without breaking the bank? There's a couple of different strategies. No matter where you shop, getting on somebody's email list is a great way to save money. When you need to buy a couple of things, I know our email boxes are all super full, but the reality is that when you sign up for the email list, they're going to send you coupons. It could be 10%, could be 20%, could be 15%, could be free shipping. And if you have to buy a couple of things, why not save some money? The other thing is they'll send you the sales. So some companies like Franco Sardo is a shoe company. And if you actually start shopping on their site and you forget, like I click on things and then I get distracted, then they'll send you a coupon. If you're on their email list, they'll say, hey, do you still want this? Here's a 15% off. So if I'm going to buy it, wouldn't you rather have 15% off than not? J. Crew, other stores, Target, if you look at something and you're on their email list, they've tagged you, they'll send you something saying, hey, this is on sale. Spend 30 minutes a day to get rid of what's not working for you in your closet. Because here's what happens. When we have things in our closet, we think, oh, I already have something. I'm not going to buy anything new. When in reality, the thing that's in your closet, you're not wearing, doesn't fit, it's too old, not really who you are anymore. But until you get rid of that item, you're not going to be open to finding something new to replace it. Set a budget. Women, and not so much men, spend money on everybody and everything. Our friends, our partners, our spouses, our kids. And when it comes to buying something for ourselves, we're like, oh, I don't want to spend that kind of money. Like, it's just too much. But if we have a budget for it and we have the money set aside, we're more likely to spend that money. It could be $10 a month. It could be 20, it could be 100, whatever works for you. I know that inflation is going rampant right now and people are paying more for gas and groceries and all types of things. But the reality is if you just put a little bit of money away, then when you need that new blouse, that new pair of slacks, you're more likely to spend the money. Find a good tailor. There are a lot of good quality clothes, like this skirt. I've probably had this for maybe 5 or 6 years and I've had it altered. I've gone up in sizes, down in size, but it saved me money rather than buying a whole new skirt, just spending the money to have the tailor adjust it. That can be said for jeans, pants, all types of blouses. You want to think about getting the most bang for your buck. When I'm working with clients, I encourage them to think in their head. I know we all go out and we find things and it's on sale. And we think, oh, this is great, but we don't know what it's going to go with. And so we get it home and then it doesn't go with anything. And we're like, oh, and then some of us will take it back and some of us won't. And then it just sits there and we never wear it. So before you buy it, think in your head, can I wear this with my slacks? Can I wear this with my work jacket? Can I wear this with jeans? Can I wear it with a pair of skirts? Can I put it over a dress? Think about all the different ways you can wear it and see if you can wear it at least 2 ways. Work or casual. Can it work for work or casual? I've worn this blouse with a pair of jeans. I've worn it with a pair of slacks. I've worn it with jackets. I've worn it with a cardigan. And you also want to think about seasons. Can it work for spring, summer? Now I know it gets really hot here, but you want to think about being able to wear it for 2 seasons, maybe fall, winter. It's going to help you get most bang for your buck. Now, spending money wisely also includes finding clothes that fit the body you have now. Some men do this. A lot of women do it. I'm going to buy it even though it doesn't fit me. I'll get into it. It'll be my motivation piece. I want you to find clothes. Right. It is a waste of money, but people do it all the time. I'm going to use it as my motivation piece. I encourage my clients to find clothes that fit the body they have now, not the one they want, not the one they had. We are all working towards, if I just could lose 5 pounds, if I just could lose 10 pounds. I get that, but you have to have clothes that you fit now because it's going to make it much easier for you to show up professionally and dressing on point if you have clothes that actually fit you. When you spend time to find things that are authentic and that you feel confident in, you're going to show up and you're more likely to achieve your goals. You're more likely to take risks. You're more likely to emphasize your strengths. Basically, all the things that we talked about in the beginning, right? When they compared the group that were wearing sweats and sport and suits, you're more likely to make those big picture decisions. Now, I hear all the time from men and women, well, I can't wear that because I'm not a size this, or I don't wear that. Style is not a size. It's you deciding you are worth it. It's not a number on a scale. You have to just decide, I'm worth it. I'm going to go spend some money, if not this month, next month, whatever it is, and find clothes that fit the body you have now. We as women in general, not some men, they say, who said I'm going to wait to buy that until I'm a size whatever? I'm going to wait to wear that. I'm not going to go there until we put our lives on hold. And what we're basically telling ourselves is we're not worth it right now. We'll somehow be worth it in the future. Whatever that is, whether it's the 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15, okay? You have to decide that you're worth it and show up for yourself, and then it'll be much easier to show up professionally. Now, there's one thing that you have to think about. When we go into, men have it much easier, but when you go into a women's clothing store and let's say you're a 10 and you go try on a size 10, it's most likely not going to fit you because the sizing standards have completely changed over the last 10 years. Clothes are made in Taiwan, Philippines, China. I have gone into a number of different stores and tried on a pair of pants or a pair of jeans, same size, same brand, same store, and one will fit me and one will not. Same size, same store. And it's because things are now made in so many different places, there's no standard sizing. So we go in and we're like, what's wrong with me? Because it doesn't fit. It's not you, okay? It's the brand. And there's no scale that goes straight across. So you have to be willing to try on different sizes. And right now it's really hard because the stores don't want to carry the clothes in the store because that means they have to put it on their books. But they carry a plethora of things online, right? Because then it just ships from the distributor. But the problem is then you can't try things on and you don't know how it's going to fit. So you can look to find stores that don't charge shipping, or I heard this once and I kind of liked it. Think of it as the gas that you would spend, whether it's a $5.95, $7.95 shipping fee, that's the gas that you would spend to go to the store and come back. Okay. But there are also stores that won't charge you shipping either way. So women typically wear between 20% and 30% of what they own. And we typically spend more than $1,000 a year. Right. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? All those little one-off pieces we find from Target, Dillard's, whatever it is, wherever we shop, Amazon. I spoke to a lady today who does all her shopping. So you got to let go of what's not working for you and start finding things that do work for you and let go of those one-off pieces that you buy because you think, oh, this is going to look great, but it never does. Okay. It's just about being more thoughtful about what you purchase and what's going to go together with all your outfits that's going to help you get out the door in 5 and show up looking professionally. A lot of women, when I talk to them, some men, not so much, they don't want to let go of their clothes because it has a memory. It was an investment. It was part of our lives. There are ad nauseum reasons why we hang on to clothes. But the reality is, if you find a women's shelter, which is what I do, whether I'm working in LA, Texas, Atlanta, I find a women's shelter and I donate the clothes to the women's shelter because there is always a woman or a man who is in need of a new job interview suit, of a new wardrobe for their outfit. They've left an abusive relationship. They have no clothes, whatever it is, a teenager in high school who needs a dress for X. There's always somebody else who is the size you used to be, who will love the clothes. Now, I usually talk about this with my C-suite execs and entrepreneurs, but it really works in across every profession. It's the leapfrog effect. So what happens is go back to the dressing, if you're wearing richer looking clothing and you're more confident and poorer looking clothing, you're less confident. People tend to want to work with people who are more experienced, who are professional, right? Who are at our level, 1 level, 2 level, or 3 levels above us. The leapfrog effect basically says if you put 2 people next to each other, the person is more likely to pick the person who's better dressed because they look more professional. They look more experienced. They're going to get picked for the interview. They're going to get picked for the job. They're going to get picked because they have the leapfrog effect because of how they're dressed and how they're presenting themselves. If you're in a sea, I've heard over and over, especially in men's businesses, if you see a sea full of men wearing dress shirts and slacks, then you want to be the one wearing the jacket because you want to be the one standing out. So that's the leapfrog effect, right? When you show up professionally, every time you're going to be the one that they are going to go to because you're the one they're most comfortable. You want people to stare because you're stunning. That's really what it is. And it could be that up-leveling your wardrobe is going to be the game changer for you. I've worked with client after client, and I find that after working with people, I challenge them sometimes, especially the ones that have been wearing leggings and pajama bottoms, get dressed 2 days a week, even if it's just to go to the grocery store, get dressed, get up, go out. It changes their outlook. It changes how they feel about themselves. It changes how they interact with other people. It changes how they go about their daily tasks. I have a bunch of giveaways. Thank you so much for staying awake and being here this late. I really appreciate it. The people who are on virtual, you have a sign-up sheet. I think the people who are here have a way to sign up. It's some tips and tricks and tips to clean out your closet, find your fit bra. A lot of companies stopped doing bra fitting, especially Nordstrom's, because of the pandemic. And so it's really hard to go find what size you are. I have a book that I created. I did a lot of research. I went to a lot of specialty stores, and then 3 Secrets to Look Slimmer Without Losing a Pound. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.